Well, yeah, talking about goals. Yeah, so earlier this week, or like on Sunday night, I was able to put together some new goals for the new year. And much to my surprise, and this is the power of goals, that's for sure, wrote down that goal. Within 24 hours, this specific goal suddenly found its way to me. So it was like, it just landed on my lap, and it was all related to just simply drafting it up, putting it down, and then within those 24 hours, it came to fruition. So I'm feeling pretty good as we're jumping into today's call.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The power of specificity. I bet that goal was like crystal clear, like very to the
Very important. Yeah. And I was also definitely also feeling it too. I was like pretty excited about the goals. Like, oh, this is going to be great when this happens. It's going to be great. But in no reality did I think it was going to happen like that. But sure enough, it did. So no complaints over here, my friend. No complaints at all.
I'm glad, happy to hear. And thank you so much for taking out of your precious time to join us in our podcast, the High Impact Habits podcast. If you want, I can do like a short presentation so our viewers and listeners can have a little bit of knowledge about who you are and what you do. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us today on this new episode with this very, very special guest that we have today. Today, I have a big surprise for you because you are about to hear special insights from a master of ceremonies, an expert in public speaking, an expert in influence, and an expert of helping you transmit your message to the people that matter to you. So without further ado, I present Mr. Derek Smith with over 15 years in public speaking, communication, virtual and live, on every type of platform and social event possible.
Amazing. Appreciate being here, Bogdan. So glad to be here having this conversation with you.
Thank you so much for joining us and accepting to have this talk, because I can feel it already. It's going to be like packed with full of valuable information and insights, especially because I bet that you're going to give us a lot of personal examples from your life, from your practice, and maybe from clients. And looking forward to it. So thanks so much for joining us. And yeah, today I'm very curious to hear your perspective on high impact habits that can help entrepreneurs, founders, managers really transmit their message, their values, their missions to their teams, to their clients, and to the people that really matter to them, because that's why our listeners are here today. So do you mind me asking you a very important question that I've been like crafting in my mind? How do I ask the perfect first question? The pressure of it. Okay, so the first perfect question: why does public speaking and communication really matter? What made you believe in it so much that you dedicated your life, such a big part of your life, towards this?
Nice. Excellent. Hey, by the way, great first question. Here's what we can say is that, especially in today's markets, out there in the business world, a lot of words can be expressed through written form, but a lot of people don't have the time and energy to read a great deal. I'm not implying people don't read, I'm just saying they don't have a lot of time for it. So one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful way to get a message across is verbally through speaking. Now, for me in my world, I am uniquely positioned because I'm a master of ceremonies. So I host a great deal of conferences, festivals, summits worldwide, where I get to see a lot of these professional speakers up there on stage, and some are good and some are not so good. And so I recognized years ago just the value of being able to support these speakers to really ensure that their message is being heard by their right audience, which again, a lot of people are also out there speaking in front of the wrong audience. So it's really important for people to select the right events and stages that they're speaking on. That's why I found my way into this world, because it was really important to me to help support these people.
Oh, absolutely. So was there like a specific moment when you felt like I love to do this, this really connects with me, represents me, this is my path? Like, when was that moment?
You know, it was over a decade ago, someone asked me the question, what do you love to do? And I found myself just expressing what I did for work. I was like, oh, well, I build communities and I do this and I do that. No, oh, I didn't ask you what you do for a living. I asked you, what do you love to do? And I said, oh, well, I love emceeing events and helping speakers to get their message out. And they said, oh, cool. So why don't you just do that for a living?
Right.
And then the next day I realized, oh, right, that's what I should be doing. So yeah, so that was precisely the moment it had happened, well over a decade ago now, and I'm so pleased because, to not sound too corny about it, I love what I do. For me, it comes very effortlessly. It's clearly my genius zone. So for me, it's, yeah, it was the best question anyone could have ever asked me.
That's beautiful. I think it's key because we are in the habit podcast, and I think loving what you do is key in building habits. And for you, you had to build a lot of habits because you focused on public speaking. Public speaking requires a lot of habits to have focus, to have value, to bring value to the table. And if you come from a place of loving what you do and having clarity in that, having a clear purpose, that really helps like solidify those habits really fast and save a lot of energy because you get pumped up by what you're doing. It's not a chore. That's absolutely beautiful. So I'm curious, what would be like a big bad habit that most people have when regarding communication and public speaking, and they don't even know about it?
They may know about it because they probably found themselves doing it a few times. A lot of people, when they're heading up to, let's say it's a stage, but it could also be, you know, even just a sales meeting or a presentation in some form or another, they memorize what they need to say and they are feeling as though they need to get their lines in play. Let's be very clear. The most effective professional speakers out there, most professional presenters out there are not performing monologue. A monologue is something for an actor to do. We're not here acting, we're just here authentically communicating with people. And the best way to do that is to know your frame, what it is you're looking to say and what needs to be communicated. And then from that point forward, just expressing it authentically as best as you can without feeling as though you got to hit your script points along the way. You can see when people are doing the monologue approach, it never sounds good. It never resonates with an audience. So people who are memorizing what they need to say, that's the worst habit they can take up.
Right. So why do you think this happens? Is it like a need for perfectionism? Is it a fear of failure? So they just focus on that needing to control every single word.
I think that's exactly it, Bogdan. It's like these people are under the impression, as this, it's maybe a high pressure situation. They want it to be perfect. They want to be able to control it, and they don't trust themselves enough that they're capable of communicating. Like, for example, if you and I were to go out for lunch, you and I wouldn't be struggling over our communication as we are just regularly having two people talking over a meal. That's what they need to bring that energy to the stage, where it's just simply a conversation with your audience. It's a dialogue. It's having a conversation, and you are capable of getting this message out pretty clearly if you are just, you know, being yourself and communicating like you would with a friend. So I think a lot of people are seeking perfectionism. They think they need to hit that line perfectly. And like I said, this isn't a play. This isn't a movie. It is not something that you need to do as a monologue. It is really just out there having a conversation and having a dialogue with your audience.
That's very interesting. Like when you were just saying that, just came to me, maybe they're focusing, they think what value is or what is valuable. I don't think they focus on the right thing. Would that be the case? Maybe they value the wrong thing, and that's why they focus on memorizing. Maybe they should value a different thing.
Well, actually, I think this will go into the perhaps. I don't know what people are thinking who are doing that. I think what it is that when people haven't, and here's habit number one that they need to take up, is practice. People who have not ever practiced their speaking before feel as though there's one way to do it. They think that the magic trick they are witnessing when they see a really great speaker on stage is that that person must have really mastered the memorization of that speech, and that's why they're doing so good. But that's not what the magic trick is. The magic trick is that they are effortlessly communicating in real time. They're getting out of their own way. They're letting it shine through them in real time. So I believe that it's the people who have not practiced, who have never actually engaged with their speaking properly, that believe that what the magic trick they're witnessing is the witnessing of somebody who has perfectly memorized every word that they need to say. So once you begin to practice, you start to realize that actually the magic trick is simply getting out of your own way, having a general framework of what you're going to be saying, and then just showing up and communicating. And that's what you learn when you practice.
So basically, if I understood this correctly, they practice letting communication flow, getting out of their own way, and they practice having a frame, but not a detailed frame. They have a frame of thought on what they work on, but they don't focus so much on the contents. They let it flow. And people need to practice this because it needs an attunement to the world, to themselves. to build that confidence, I imagine.
Bingo, exactly. Again, it's a framework, it's a table of contents, it's understanding your subject matter. And maybe it's possible to answer your previous question as to why do people decide to memorize this stuff? It's probably because they don't know their material. They don't know the subject matter they're talking about so well that they feel like, okay, well, in that case, I got to memorize this thing like a test and then go out and do it. So it's just like, well, maybe you aren't the right person for that subject matter right now. And go in, get your framework, get your table of contents ready, and then just trust that you're going to be able to communicate it effortlessly. Now, again, practice is precisely what is required for a lot of these speakers. You just need a little bit of reps. Like going to the gym, you want to be able to get some reps in there so you can understand, like, okay, wait a second, I can talk about this. I can communicate about this. So a little bit of practice goes a long way for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And you were talking about like showing your true self. This is authenticity. And even if you talk to a child, when that child is passionate about something, they naturally talk fluently about the subject, and their energy flows through their eyes, through their voice, to their movement. Everything is so connected, and you get so focused on their little world of whatever they love to watch or do or have whatever. Maybe that's the secret to all of us. Like you said, really get to know the subject. And after that, sure, you have the frame, but it flows through you.
That's funny you say that.
Passion.
It is all people, Bogdan. It's not just children. Again, I have several adult clients who you can sense that when they first start working with me, they find their way to they struggle with their introduction because they really want to hit that joke, or they want to be funny, or they want to say something that really captures everyone, but it's not very well thought out, or it's not very well practiced. And so once they get past that intro, and then they get into their subject matter, which they know very well and they're very passionate about, they're then suddenly just flowing easily. And it's like, okay, well, maybe we could incorporate some of that flowy passion into the intro as well, because, we, whether it's children or adults, we are capable of communicating very clearly when we are passionate about the subject matter that we're talking about. So I've seen it time and time again where once you give them their speciality, the thing that they like the most, they can talk for hours about this stuff. And so people need to trust that they have that inside themselves for their chosen subject.
Right. Quick question though. This happened, I first heard about this from John Maxwell, and then I recognize it in myself. Sometimes I tend to be very passionate about something and not notice my audience anymore. So I'm too passionate. I really speak a lot. And then John Maxwell said it beautifully that he was having a speech. He had a speech in front of a congregation, and he felt like he was speaking for 15 minutes and an hour and a half passed. And then he spoke with his wife, and his wife was like, oh man, you lost us a long way. So how do you prevent that? Because you can be really passionate about something. How do you still connect to the people around you? How do you channel that passion in a productive way?
Excellent question. So, well, number one, and I don't want to go back to it, but again, practice is very important, because understanding what a minute feels like is very important. That's why practice is good, because you're able to understand what 60 seconds can be, and understanding the power of a soundbite. Understanding that it's almost better sometimes to leave your audience wanting more, not feeling the need to fill in every little thing. So yes, I can understand that we can get pretty passionate about what we're speaking about, but understanding also the value of being able to stop yourself, let it sit, take a moment, understand how long have I been talking for, and then continuing on. And I don't want to keep leaning on practice so much, but that really does make all the difference in the world, is being able to have an understanding of basic time, because we have all, both of us and probably everyone watching this, has seen speakers up on stages that have just gone on and on. And it's, to some extent, it's almost like they like listening to their own voice. But if you forget that it is all about your audience is going to realize they're not even really speaking to me. They're just speaking to themselves at this point. So making sure you remember that this is not about yourself, the speaker. It is about them, the audience. And number one thing that is really important when it comes to public speaking is knowing what 1 minute feels like.
Wow, that's really deep. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off, but it's like, to go for an hour and 15 minutes, it seems absurd. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, wow, you were really flowing, my man. Like, that's great. But again, your audience, like you said, his wife said, the audience was completely lost on it. And it's like, we've seen that before, and I don't think there's an excuse for it.
I agree. Like you said, you have to be there for the people you talk to. because that's why you're there, to transmit a message for them, not for you. But just to do a quick recap, because there have been like a couple of habits, and would love to have it like in one place. So the first habit would be, of course, practice, but we have to know what to practice. So we practice having a frame, we practice being knowledgeable about the subject we are transmitting, so we come there with a real value to bring to the people. Is this good so far? And I think this also maybe checks the idea of talking to people, not to yourself, because if you remember
Dialogue.
Right, the dialogue. And then you practice your speech to understand the 1 minute, how long it takes. And am I missing anything?
No, you're doing great. And like, there are a variety of different frameworks that you can use when you're doing this practice. So you're right, understanding what 1 minute is very important, as I mentioned. But if you ever want to give it a test, you can always give it a try in 5 minutes or less. So in 5 minutes or less, you could probably cover off some pretty basic things. You want to make a simple sandwich. The bread is your introduction. Hi guys, welcome. My name's Derek. Then you get into your subject matter. Today, I want to talk to you about the 3 things that are affecting people today in this part of the world, or whatever your subject is, yeah? And then hit them with your table of contents. You've given the 3 things, you tell them what the 3 things are, and then you begin to explain them. So number 1, and you go through it. Number 2, you go through it. Number 3, you go through it, and then you wrap things up with a call to action. And a call to action can be a lot of different things. It could be, the lamest one you can do is, hey, scan this QR code, or you can leave them with a challenge. So you know what I'd love you to do? I'd like you to go home tonight, and I'd like you to think about the 3 things we spoke about today. And then I want you to get a pen and paper, and I want to write down the. So that kind of idea. So again, it's just introduction, your table of contents, and then describing the 3 things, then doing your call to action. And of course, don't underestimate the value of repeating yourself. A lot of people struggle with repetition. So understanding that when you give the table of contents, you give each of the 3 things, make sure you repeat those 3 things one last time. So just to recap, this, and this. And now I'd like to challenge you to do something and wrap it up with your call to action. So that's an easy 5-minute framework right there that anyone can use in their speech.
That's absolutely beautiful. It's so simple, easy to remember. Introduction, 3 things. You say them before, then you explain them, then you repeat them, then you have the challenge. It's step, like very, very easy to follow through. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
No problem. Yeah, and remember, just step out of your own way and just let it shine through. Don't feel as though that needs to be scripted more than that. If you know your subject matter, you should surely be able to speak about those 3 things pretty effortlessly.
And I also want to invite you to talk about the meetings, because a lot of our viewers talk with their teams, not just with audiences. How do you prepare for a meeting? Because most of them have like goals to go through. They want to motivate their teams. They want their teams to be involved in what they do, like their audiences. So how do you present yourself? Because it's not just about what we say. It also has to be about who we are when we are presenting. How can they be prepared to not only deliver the information, but come as a person who is worthy of being listened to?
Very nice. I mean, years ago, I adopted personal policy that lives in my world. I don't attend events by anyone who's invited me if they haven't presented an agenda. And an agenda, of course, incredibly powerful because it shows that not only is someone leading this, but there is a plan here and we know how long this is going to go for. Somebody who can own this rectangle right here and can own the space starts with having a plan and saying, this is what we're going to cover today, and we're going to run for 25 minutes. When somebody delivers on that expectation, they're clearly the leader. They're clearly someone you can trust. So making sure that you have that is step one. Understanding that the value of any of these conversations we're having, especially in virtual rooms, eye contact. People think that there's no such thing as eye contact in virtual events. This is your eyeball right now, and I'm looking right at you. And again, I'm not looking around the screens. I'm not looking at my phone. I am here with you. I'm looking right at you. And that's really important, is making sure that there is some form of eye contact throughout the duration of your meeting. And the final one that I want to make sure everyone knows is like recognizing that asking people questions and, once again, using this word again, having a dialogue with the people in your meeting is what people want. They don't want to simply receive a broadcast from the person at the top who's just here giving information. They want to be able to get questions asked to them so that way they can feel as though they are part of the meeting as well. Because otherwise, what am I doing here? Am I just here listening? Like, no, you're also engaging with it. So always make sure that you're engaging the people inside your meetings.
Absolutely. So just to make a recap, first, the habit would be to have a plan. In the habit of having a plan. And I recognize this in talking with my clients, and they said, like, we jumped in the meeting and 3 hours later we were lost. So having a plan, knowing the time schedule of everything, this is what we do, very big. And then the first one, having a plan. The second one would be like having a dialogue.
Well, yes, but actually making sure that, like, again, just from a virtual perspective, of course, this would go out to a live event too, but just more so, like, don't underestimate that, like, the way in which we connect with people is through the eyes. So just make sure that you're keeping an eye on the eye. So that way we know, like, I'm leading this, I'm in control because I'm looking at you. And so, making sure eye contact's there. And then you were right. The next one was having a dialogue. So making sure you're asking questions of the people in there so that way they can respond and also feel like they're a part of this meeting.
Right. And this comes to engagement, because sometimes people drift off, they think about their, house and the car and whatever else, things that are outside the meeting. How do we engage them back? How do we bring them back to the conversation? Do you mind giving us some tips?
It's questions. It's always just having questions in your back pocket, making sure that if you know what your agenda is for the day, you know who the people are in attendance, then it's just like making sure that you have engaging questions to interact with them. Because again, it's not a broadcast, it is intended to be a dialogue with these people. So that's the best way to engage with people. There are other ways. You can always say, hey, write in the chat if you want to, but more than anything, it's just talking to them and recognizing we're all in the room together, even if we're not actually in the room together, and making them feel as though they're in the room. It makes a big difference. And you and I have both been in attendance at some of these meetings that have completely lost the thread. Almost so that I could probably mute my microphone, shut off my camera, and go downstairs and make a sandwich. No one would know, you know what I mean? And so these are the types of meetings we try to avoid. That's why you can avoid that by throwing in as much engagement and questions as possible.
Right. And I think this also applies to one-on-one communication as well. There are the same principles. Be there, have an idea of what you're transmitting, eye contact, very big, be there present, and then have a dialogue, not a monologue.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of the following question, okay? Anytime you're talking to somebody, you're at a networking event, you're in a meeting like a Zoom room or something, if you can ask the question after getting to know them a little bit, understanding a little bit about the world, so tell me, Bogdan, what's your biggest challenge? I don't need you to answer it today. I'm just letting you know, what's your biggest challenge allows people who receive that question to tap in and go, oh gosh, that's a really good question. And then they can they will open up to you and they will start revealing things about what's going on in their world, personally or professionally, depending on the context. And then from that point forward, you can always help support somebody. Even if it's not aligned directly with what your service or product is, you surely know someone in your network that you can introduce them to, which then in turn, you're just spreading value to everyone, which is super powerful.
Yeah. More value. And I'm curious about this. I used to have this and I still catch myself from time to time. How do you prevent yourself from thinking ahead? So you ask the question and then instead of listening, you're in your head, okay, so then I'm going to ask this and this. So do you have a special technique that helps you with this?
It is the simplest thing you can do, but so difficult for so many people. Minimum 5 deep breaths before you speak. And I mean this in terms of before you get on a podcast interview, before you show up to a sales meeting, before you do a live event. Minimum 5 deep breaths. It allows the mind and the mouth to align up so that way the mind doesn't get ahead of the mouth or vice versa, the mouth doesn't get ahead of the mind. And then that way you don't catch yourself in these things. You really want to calm the heart so that way the heart is beating at a reasonable rate. And then that way things just, because I mean, let's be clear, a lot of these things are very exciting. They're excitable. And a lot of people get nervous before they do any of these things. So take your 5 deep breaths and remember that nervousness is just excitement without breathing. So make sure you breathe, and that will make sure that your mouth and your mind don't get out of whack.
Nervousness is just excitement without breathing. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And does this apply also to answering? So you ask a question and then you listen, you're there, and then after the person stops, you apply the 5 breaths as well. So you have a waiting time in breathing after they stop speaking to see if they have something more to tell.
Very good question, Bogdan. You see, what I just did there was I took a deep breath, and now I'm addressing your question. So not 5 deep breaths between questions. That's only before you step up or turn on the camera or get things started. But in those conversations, people need to be comfortable with a little bit of silence. They need to recognize that right now, I am holding the microphone. I'm speaking right now. You know, I'm taking you somewhere right now. So as long as I am comfortable to go and continue, you can take deep breaths in between. It's okay to breathe in between these things. And so when people ask you a question, I highly encourage them to just take a beat. You know, like a beat, like take a moment and just go, you know, that's a great question, Bogdan. And they continue on. So instead of feeling the need to answer it immediately or get into it really quickly, control the conversation by taking it in and then responding. And that really shows authority when you're speaking, making sure that you take control of the conversation. And by the way,
Absolutely. And it also feels more authentic. It feels like a conversation. It doesn't feel like a continuous, endless line of words. Are there any special tactics that would really help people skyrocket their public speaking, their presentation, or even their just one-on-one communication, something that off the top of your head would help them out?
You know, a lot of people struggle to identify their audience. So some people will identify their audience using advertising techniques like, oh, my audience are 28-year-olds to 40-year-olds who are doing this, that, and the other thing. I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm suggesting that knowing who you are speaking to. So perhaps when you're speaking, whether it's on a sales call, whether it's in front of a live audience, you are going to present a problem. And then your speaking is going to now provide the solution to that problem. But you need to know your audience to know what the problem is. So figure out what the problem is, know who that would be aligned with, which audience members, and then when you're out there, especially in front of a live audience, feel comfortable that you got 1,000 people in front of you. That's the crowd. That's not your audience. That's 1,000 people. Now your audience is a percentage of those people. That is who you're talking to. Do not feel the need to attract everyone in that room. Feel comfortable repelling the wrong people in the room and just attract the right. Make sense?
Right. So the habit of getting comfortable to repelling the wrong people. This is big.
Very good.
This is very big.
And you can only do that by knowing your audience. And also loving your audience. What do I mean by loving your audience? Love your audience is a way, it's just like, how would you know what kind of relationship you're looking for unless you go ahead and you say, I am looking for this kind of love. You want to love your audience so that way you know exactly what their pain points are, what their pleasure points are. So that way you can develop a habit into understanding who your audience is. So that way when you're out in front of these large groups, even if it is one-on-one, you can suss out pretty quickly. It's like, is this person I'm individually speaking to my audience? That way you'll know exactly who they are, and you just got to be aware of who they are and define them a little bit beforehand.
Absolutely. So also the habit of spending time every day to think about your audience, to deepen that, to understand your audience.
Yeah, yes, Bogdan, you're not wrong to say that. I wouldn't say you have to think about it every day. I think you need to act on it every day. What I suggest is take one day to identify your audience and then go out there and communicate with your audience. That's the habit, is getting out there and making sure you're
You understand it better through communication.
There you go, exactly. Yeah. You don't need to refine and define constantly your audience. Once it's locked in, just start loving them by reaching out to them and communicating with them. You'll find out precisely things that you probably didn't even realize were pain points or pleasure points for them along the way. So just get out there and communicate with them as much as you can.
That's absolutely wonderful. At the end of our talk, thank you so much for everything you shared with us. Is there anything that you would like our audience to be left with, like a special challenge or special idea, or maybe even your website or special things that you want you can offer them?
Oh, well, hey, I appreciate the offer. You know, more than anything, I think a lot of people need to recognize that there's a difference between speaking in front of people, anybody, and speaking on stages that are actually aligned with your audience. If you're interested, I would be glad to help define your audience for you. Feel free to reach out to me. You can contact me on mrdereksmith.com. Once again, that's mrdereksmith.com. We can jump on a call and map out the next 18 months of your events. So you can figure out exactly what stages are actually aligned with your industry, your audience, your geography, a lot of different things over the next 18 months. So that way you know where you need to be or where you need to be speaking.
That's beautiful. And that would save so much time and pain, energy, effort, resources spent and in a wrong direction. Like climbing the wrong tree is climbing, it's effort. Being busy, it doesn't mean it takes you where you want to be. So better take a little bit of investment, put it in the right place, and then save a lot of time, energy, and really feel good about yourself because you'll help them align with what they really want to do. That's beautiful. Derek, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your experience. Maybe at some point we can do this again and maybe you'll share some more experience.
There's a lot to explore in the world of speaking, my friend. So absolutely, I'd be thrilled to come back. Thank you so much, Bogdan.
Thanks so much. Guys, thanks so much for being with us and hope you took notes. If you didn't take notes, I will have like a tiny script for you to follow through and check some ideas. And thank you for being here with us and listening to our episode on getting better in public speaking and communication as well. Derek, thank you again for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.